Hello P5, I'm going to record the second part of chapter 6 of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone for you. It's a lovely morning, there's no sun yet, but look, there's Miska fast asleep. And I'm just sitting in the conservatory and I'm going to read to you. So, put it here. Now, put on my old lady glasses. Right, where do we get to? He'd just got onto the train and the train had just headed off towards Hogwarts. The door of the compartment slid open and the youngest red-haired boy came in. "Anyone sitting there?" he asked, pointing at the seat opposite Harry. "Everywhere else is full." Harry shook his head and the boy sat down. He glanced at Harry and looked quickly out the window, pretending he hadn't looked. Harry saw he still had a black mark on his nose. "Hey, Ron," the twins were back. "Listen, we're going to go down the middle of the train. Lee Jordan's got a giant tarantula down there." "Right," mumbled Ron. "Harry," said the other twins, "did we introduce ourselves? Fred and George Weasley. This is Ron, our brother." "See you later then." "Bye," said Harry and Ron. The twins slid out of the compartment behind them. "Are you really Harry Potter?" Ron blurted out. Harry nodded. "Ah, well, I thought it might be one of Fred and George's jokes," said Ron. "But have you really got, He pointed at Harry's forehead. Harry pulled back his fringe to show the lightning scar. Ron stared. "So that's where you know who?" "Yes," said Harry, "but I can't remember it." "Nothing," said Ron eagerly. "Well, I remember a lot of green light, but nothing else." "Wow," said Ron. He sat and stared at Harry for a few moments. Then, as though he suddenly realised what he was doing, he looked quickly out the window again. "Are all your family wizards?" asked Harry, who found Ron just as interesting as Ron found him. "Yes, I think so," said Ron. "I think my mum's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we never really talked to him." "You must know loads of magic already." The Weasleys were clearly one of those old wizardly families that the pale boy and Digon Alley had talked about. "I heard you went to live with muggles," said Ron. "What are they like?" "Horrible. Well, not all of them. My aunt and uncle and cousin are, though. I wish I had 3 wizard brothers." "5, said Ron. For some reason he was looking gloomy. "I'm the 6th in our family to go to Hogwarts. You could say I've got a lot to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy and Charlie was captain of Quidditch. Now Percy's a prefect. George and Fred mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks and everyone thinks they're really funny. Everyone except me to do as well as the others. But if I do, it's no big deal because they did it first. You never get anything new either with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's old robes, Charlie's old wand and Percy's old rat." Ron reached inside his jacket and pulled out a big fat grey rat, which was asleep. "His name's Scabber and he's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an owl from my dad for being made a prefect. They couldn't afford, I got Scrabber instead." Ron's ears went pink. He seemed to think he was too much, but he went back to staring out the window. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he never had any money in his whole life until a month ago, and he told Ron so, all about having to wear Dudley's old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. This seemed to cheer Ron up. "And until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard or about my parents or Voldemort." Ron gasped. "What?" said Harry. "You said, you know whose name," said Ron suddenly, sounding both shocked and impressed. "I'd have thought you of all people." "I'm not trying to be brave or anything saying the name," said Harry. "I just never knew you shouldn't. See what I mean? I've lots to learn, I bet," he said, voicing for the first time something had been worrying him a lot lately. "I bet I'm the worst in the class." "You won't be. There are lots of people who come from muggle families and they learn quick enough." While they were talking, the train had carried them out of London. They were now speeding past fields full of cows and sheep. They were quiet for a time, watching the fields and lanes lick past. Around 12:30 there was a great clattering outside in the corridor and a smiling, dimpled lady slid back her door and said, "Anything off the trolleys, dears?" Harry, who hadn't had any breakfast, leapt to his feet. But Ron's ears went pink again and he muttered that he'd brought sandwiches. Harry went out into the corridor. He'd never had any money for sweets with the Dursleys, and now that he had pockets rattling with gold and silver, he was ready to buy as many Mars bars as he could carry. But the woman didn't have Mars bars. What she did have were Bertie's Bott's ever-flavoured beans, Drooble's best blowing gums, chocolate frogs, pumpkin pasties, cauldron cakes, licorice wands, and a number of other strange things Harry had never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss anything, he got some of every and paid the woman 11 silver stickles and 7 bronze knucks. Ron stared at Harry as he brought them back into the compartment and tipped them in the empty seat. "Hungry, are you?" "Starving," said Harry, taking a giant bite out of a pumpkin pasty. Ron had taken out a lumpy package and unwrapped it. There were 4 sandwiches in there. Oh, she always forgets I don't like corned beef. I'll swap one of those for you, said Harry, holding up a pasty. Go on. Don't want this, it's all dry, said Ron. She hasn't got much time, you know, with 5 of us. Go on, have a pasty, said Harry, had never had anything to share before, and indeed anyone to share it with. It was a nice feeling sitting there with Ron, eating their way through Harry's pasties and cakes. The sandwiches lay forgotten. What are these? Harry asked Ron, holding up a packet of chocolate frogs. They're not really frogs, are they? He was starting to feel that nothing would surprise him. No, said Ron, but see what the card is, I imagine, a crippen. What? Of course you wouldn't know. Chocolate frogs have cards inside them, you know, to collect famous witches and wizards. I've about 500, but I haven't got a cribba or palomi. Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, had a long crooked nose and a flowing silver hair, beard and moustache. Underneath the picture was the name Albus Dumbledore. Ah, so this is Dumbledore, said Harry. Don't tell me you've never heard of Dumbledore, said Ron. Can I have a frog? I might get a prig of thanks. Harry turned the card over. It read, Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times. Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grendel in 1945, for the discovery of 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work in alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Harry turned the card back over and saw to his astonishment that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. He's gone. You can't expect him to hang around all day. Ron's eyes stayed on the pile of chocolate frogs waiting to be unwrapped. Help yourself, Harry. But no, in a minute, the muggle world, people would just stay put in photos. Do they? What, they don't move at all? Ron sounded amazed. Weird. Harry stared at Dumbledore in the picture and gave him a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating frogs than looking at famous witches and wizards' cards, but Harry couldn't keep his eyes off them. Soon he had not only Dumbledore and Morgana, but Hengist of Woodcroft, Albert McGrinty, Kirk, Pygos and Berlin. He finally tore his eyes away from the druidess Cleona, scratching her nose to open a bag of Bertie Spott's ever-flavoured beans. You want to be careful with those, Ron, warned Harry. When they say every flavour, they mean every flavour. You know, you can get ordinary ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, and then you can get spinach and liver and tripe. George reckons he got a bogey-flavoured one once. Ron picked up a green bin, looked at it carefully and bit into it. Look, sprites. They had a good time eating every flavour of beans. Harry got toast, coconut, baked beans, strawberry, curry, grass, coffee, sardine, and was even brave enough to nibble the end of a funny grey one that Ron wouldn't touch, which turned out to be pepper. The countryside was flying past and the neat fields had gone, and now there were woods and trysting rivers and dark green hills. There was a knock on the door of their compartment and a round-faced boy came in. He looked tearful. Sorry, he said, have you seen a toad at all? They shook their heads and he wailed, I've lost him. He keeps getting away from me. He'll turn up, said Harry. Yes, said the voice miserably. Well, see if you see him. He left. I don't know why he's so bothered, said Ron. If I'd brought a toad, I'd lose it as quick as I could. Mind you, I brought Scrabber, so I can't talk. The rat was still snoozing on Ron's lap. He might have died and you wouldn't have known, said Ron in disgust. I tried to turn him yellow yesterday to make him look more interesting, but the spell didn't work. I'll show you, look. He rummaged round his trunk and pulled out a very battered-looking wand. Unicorn's hair's nearly poking out. Anyway, he just raised his wand and the compartment door opened again. The toadless boy was back, but this time had a girl with him. She was wearing new Hogwarts robes. Has anybody seen a toad? Neville's lost one, she said. She had a rather bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair and rather large front teeth. We already told him we haven't seen it, said Ron, but the girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the wand in his bag. Oh, are you doing magic? Let me see. She sat down. Ron looked taken aback. All right, he cleared his throat. Sunshine, daisies, butter, mellow, turn this fat, stupid rat yellow. He waved his wand, but nothing happened. Scrubber stayed grey and fast asleep. Are you sure that's a real spell? Said the girl. Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried a couple of simple spells just for practice and it's worked for me. Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased, of course. I mean, it's the very best school in witchcraft there is, I've heard. I've learned all of our set books off by heart, of course. Just hope that'll be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you? She said all this very fast. I'm Ron Weasley, muttered Ron. Harry Potter, said Harry. Are you really, said Hermione. I know all about you, of course. I've got extra books for extra background reading. And you're in the modern magical history and the rise and fall of the dark arts and great wizardly events of the 20th century. I am, said Harry, feeling dazed. Goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found out everything I could if it was me, said Hermione. Do either of you know which house she'll be in? I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was one. I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, we'd better go and look for Neville's toad. You two better change, you know. We'll be here soon. And she left, taking the toadless boy with her. Whatever house I'm in, I hope she's not in it, said Ron. He threw back his wand. Stupid spell. George